Long before London existed, before any name, border, or idea of a city, this ground was already alive. Beneath what are now streets, underground tunnels, and crowded pavements, there was once only wind moving across open land. No footsteps echoed here, no voices carried, just mist rising slowly at dawn. The same kind of fog that still drifts over London mornings, unaware of centuries. The land did not wait for purpose. It had none. It simply endured, shaped by rain, frost, and time passing without witnesses. Where foundations now hold weight and motion, the earth once shifted freely, answering only to sky and season. Before the river was confined, before stone embankments and bridges, the Thames was not a line through the city, but a presence that wandered. Its waters spread wide, flooded low ground, then retreated, leaving mud and uncertainty behind. Crossing it meant reading the land, not mastering it. Today, the river flows neatly between walls, carrying reflections of buildings and lights. But beneath that order lies a memory of chaos, when the river decided where movement stopped and life paused. Long before London followed the river shaped the land without asking. The climate that once ruled this place was harsher and slower than anything known today. Cold pressed down for generations, not seasons. Wind crossed the land without obstruction, unhindered by streets or shelter. The same soil now warmed by summer crowds once cracked under frost. Animals larger than anything seen here today moved across this terrain, leaving deep impressions that vanished with thaw. London's mild present hides a past of extremes, where survival depended on endurance rather than planning, and comfort was never expected. When humans first arrived, they did not see a future city. They saw open ground, water, and movement. Small groups passed through, stopping briefly, leaving quietly. Where buildings would rise, they knelt, rested, and moved on. They carried no sense of ownership, no idea of permanence. Rain erased their paths. Wind covered their traces. To them, this place held no meaning beyond what it offered in that moment. The city that would later claim the land had no presence yet, only absence. Life without walls or roads demanded constant attention. Shelters stood briefly, then disappeared. Fire marked the center of existence, its glow pulling bodies closer as darkness settled. No lamps softened the night. No windows filtered sound. Every noise mattered. Each day ended without certainty of the next. And yet, this was life fully lived, grounded in the present. Beneath modern neighborhoods and glowing windows, that same ground once absorbed heat from small fires, holding warmth that vanished by morning. Stone became an extension of the hand. Each tool carried effort, patience, and intention. No object was wasted, no motion careless. The sound of stone striking stone echoed across open land that would one day echo with engines and voices. These tools did not reshape the landscape. They allowed humans to pass through it. Still, they left the faintest imprint beneath a city that would one day reshape everything above them. When night arrived, the land transformed. Darkness was complete. Without fire, nothing could be seen. Predators moved where humans waited. Silence became a signal, not peace. Even now, London never truly sleeps. Its nights filled with motion and sound. But long before that, night meant vulnerability. Safety existed only within reach of warmth and other bodies. Alone, the land was unforgiving. No one recorded these lives. No names survived. No moments were preserved. Memory existed only briefly, carried by voice, then lost. Thousands lived and vanished here without recognition. Yet traces remained, buried deep beneath layers of time, just as modern London constantly builds over its own past. History would later define this place, but life had already passed through it, complete and unseen. Nothing about this land suggested importance. It was not chosen, it was crossed. Water flowed, animals moved, people followed. That this ordinary ground would one day support one of the world's great cities is not destiny, but accident, layered over time. London rose not because this place was special, but because it was available. Before civilization arrived, there was silence stretching across thousands of years. No crowns, no walls, no written memory, just humanity, adapting, moving, enduring. That silence still exists beneath the noise of the present. Beneath every street and structure, the ground remembers a time when London was nothing more than land, water, and breath. If this journey beneath the city changed how you imagine London today, subscribe to the channel and share in the comments which moment stayed with you the longest. Long before walls divided space or ownership fixed borders, movement itself shaped this land. Paths formed not by design, but by repetition. Feet followed animals, avoided wetlands, returned to familiar ground when survival allowed it. These invisible roots shifted constantly, never settling long enough to harden. Today, London's streets feel permanent, etched into maps and memory, yet beneath them lies a forgotten logic of motion, when direction was decided by instinct and terrain, not signage or plan. The city's arteries echo paths once traced only by necessity. Sound carried differently in this open world. Without buildings to trap or reflect it, every noise traveled far. A snapped branch, a distant call, the rush of wind across grass all held meaning. Silence was never empty, it was information. In modern London, sound is constant, layered, overwhelming. But long ago, the absence or presence of sound could decide whether a place was safe. Listening was not passive, it was survival. The land spoke quietly, and those who lived here learned to hear it. Water beyond the river defined daily choices. Shallow streams appeared and vanished with rain. Puddled ground slowed movement, hid danger, altered routes. Drinking water was not guaranteed. It had to be found, tested, trusted. Today, water flows invisibly beneath London, controlled and reliable. In the distant past, it dictated rhythm and risk. Where to stop, where to move on, where life could briefly pause. The city now rests on systems that once did not exist, but still depend on the same unseen flow. Children grew into this landscape without instruction. There were no lessons, no explanations. Learning happened through watching and repeating. Small hands copied older ones, not knowing the future weight of these movements. London now educates through buildings and institutions, but here, knowledge lived in action. Skills were absorbed before they were understood. Mistakes were immediate teachers. Survival shaped growth long before structure or schooling ever did. Death was present, but quiet. There were no cemeteries, no markers to remember the lost. When someone disappeared, the land absorbed them completely. Grief had no place to settle. Life moved on because it had to. Modern London marks loss with stone and names, but this ground once held memory only briefly. Yet the absence of monuments did not mean absence of meaning. Each life mattered intensely in the moment, even if time erased every trace. Eventually, stillness began to last longer. Places once passed through were returned to again and again. Fires were lit in familiar spots. The land began to feel known, not owned, but remembered. This was not yet a city, not even a settlement as we imagine it, but it was a shift, a slowing. Beneath London's foundations lies this turning point, when movement hesitated just long enough for permanence to begin forming, quietly, without intention, beneath the open sky. The ground itself began to change under repeated presence. Areas once untouched grew darker from ash, harder from countless footsteps. The land started to remember people, even when people did not think in terms of memory. Today, London's pavement bears the marks of millions, but long before stone and concrete, the earth was already being shaped by routine. Subtle shifts in soil told a story no one wrote, a slow transformation driven by return rather than design. Light meant safety, and its absence demanded caution. Dawn was more than a time of day, it was relief. The first light revealed what night had hidden and allowed movement without fear. In modern London, light erases darkness almost entirely. But once, the rising sun determined when life could begin again. Every morning carried a quiet reset, a chance to survive one more day. The cycle of darkness and light shaped both action and rest, long before clocks divided time. Weather was not background. It was an active force that could alter plans instantly. Rain could trap, cold could kill, warmth could open opportunity. There was no protection from it, only response. Today, London adapts weather with roofs and systems, but this land once demanded direct negotiation with the sky. People learned patience not by choice, but by necessity, waiting for conditions to shift before moving again. And slowly, almost unnoticed, the idea of staying began to form, not as ambition, but as familiarity. Certain places felt safer, more predictable. Fires returned to the same ground, movement shortened. This was not yet civilization, but it was its shadow. Beneath London's skyline lies this subtle moment, when land and people began to recognize each other, setting the stage for everything that would follow. Hunting was never a chase for dominance, but a negotiation with the land. Animals were not pursued blindly, they were observed, anticipated, respected. A successful hunt depended on reading tracks, wind direction, and silence. One mistake could empty days of effort. Today, London is far removed from this dependence, yet its earliest survival was tied to these careful exchanges. Beneath markets and shops, the land once demanded patience before it offered sustenance. Rest was rare and never careless. Stopping meant safety only if the place allowed it. Open ground exposed, low areas trapped cold, and high ground revealed too much. Choosing where to pause was as important as choosing when to move. In a city that now rests almost everywhere, it is easy to forget that rest once required judgment. The land beneath London taught that stillness could protect or destroy, depending on where it occurred. Over time, familiarity replaced fear. Repeated returns softened the unknown. Certain sounds no longer startled. Certain shapes became expected. This was not comfort as we know it, but recognition. The land was no longer entirely unpredictable. In this gradual easing, humans and place began to adapt to one another. Long before London became a city, the ground itself was learning its first inhabitants, just as they were learning it. If this journey beneath the city changed how you imagine London today, subscribe to the channel and share in the comments which moment stayed with you the longest.